So, usual reminder, the meeting is recorded. Members of the public, you are new to the microphone. It takes me ages to remove some of the interesting conversations that go on, so just bear that in mind. Probably start by welcoming Lucy Merry as our new clerk. Lucy's first Pickmere Parish Council meeting. Welcome.
Nice to have you, Lisa. Thank you. And a week and a half ends.
It's been the best week and a half of my life. But anyway, so receive apologies for that. I haven't received any apologies. I did see Nick earlier today, walking his dog. Has anyone else received them from Nick or Simon?
Simon's just said he's going to be late.
Ah, okay, the late Simon. Okay, so we'll just kick off with procedural matters. Approve and authorise the signing of the minutes of the 5th of September. Does anyone have any? I do have one.
You've got the
Okay, well I'll kick off. So on finance 6.1, the totals are wrong. So the deposit account is actually the total of the two accounts together. So that just needs updating. The number which is in the report for this month. That's the only thing that I noticed that wasn't true. Was it correct?
In finance, we did talk about terms of reference for the finance committee and arranging the meeting. It's not minuted anywhere.
Well, yes, I proposed a meeting, but we didn't vote on it. But you said, yeah, you agreed.
Well, we did have a meeting. I don't think it was I didn't think of it as a formal request, but.
Can you repeat that, Chair, please? So those numbers, what, on 6.1?
So 6.1, the numbers are wrong because I gave three numbers. One was the deposit account, one was the current account,
yes,
and one was the total balance.
Oh.
So the deposit account balance is actually the total totals. But if you look at later on, in the month-end numbers, I've given last month's numbers as well, just so that it can be corrected.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I'll update the numbers and then sign that after the meeting. Okay, update from me on what's happened in the last month. So first of all, something dear to my heart, I have no update on the recovery of the money for the fence. I haven't been able to progress that because we didn't have a clerk until the 23rd of the month, and I've been balancing that with my work and my children, so I didn't have time to push that on. But now Lucy's in place, we'll push that on for next month. I got an email from Cheshire East today to apologise for not sending over the plan for the parking update, and they have someone working on it and they're trying to agree it internally, and they'll get it to us as soon as possible. I thought I should mention that we had a really good response to the post on Facebook about hedge cutting. So certainly on Clover Drive there's been significant hedge trimming. So I guess thank you to the village for taking it in the spirit it was given. The railings at the top of Clover Drive continue to be painted. It's a bit like the Forth Road Bridge. By the time Jane's finished, she'll be able to start again.
It is,
but thank you to Jane and Chris and anyone else who's doing that. And I'm sure that if anyone wants to paint some Cheshire railings, or help will be gratefully received. Once again, we've had an increase in Village Hall bookings, which is great to see. Thank you. I know Lorraine has put a lot of time and effort to that. So we have lots of things for residents to do every day of the week. As I mentioned last month, but just to reiterate, all the reports are now online, as they used to be in the old days. So in the spirit of transparency, everything goes up now with document list, and that's where you'll find it. But if anyone wants the clerk to send them a complete list by email.
Can I just ask a question now?
Sure.
When do we actually write the reports? Because we can't write a report when we submit our agenda item, because we don't know whether the agenda item is going to be accepted or not. And we can't then in our reports refer to the item number.
So, technically the report should be written and submitted with your agenda item, because we can't decide whether we can put it on the agenda if we don't know we can action. So if there's nothing to action, it wouldn't normally go onto the agenda.
Okay.
So,
Fine.
and then just something,
Has that gone back to how it used to be, or
Yes.
is it?
so that was the system that Jack put in place.
It wasn't.
No, well, Jack put that in place, yes, because he used to write the reports. Which is we're writing the reports individually ourselves. As I say, we can't reference the item number. When we first started, what we used to do was, I think it was within a few days.
Okay, but yeah, so when I write my reports, I don't put an item number on it. And then if it's put onto the agenda, then it's added on. And then it's put up on the page.
We're not able to do that, are we?
No, but if you send
the
the-
minutes, until the agenda comes out, we would then have to update our report, include that number in and send it back again.
No, the clerk is quite capable of putting the number up and loading it up onto the...
I'll make sure that I do them so that you can update the documents to send them.
Okay. But adding a number onto a document doesn't take very long.
I just wanted to be clear.
Okay. And then just something from today which occupied my morning. So this morning we had contractors come on to Parish Council land to cut down a tree paid for by a resident. The contractors hadn't been authorised by the council and they were asked to leave. And I think just to remind people in the village that parish councillors have no power other than when they sit in this meeting. So they cannot arrange contractors to come onto land. They cannot negotiate on behalf of the council unless that's been so delegated by the committee. So just something to bear in mind, because I think residents are somewhat confused as to the powers of council outside the council room. And everyone, including myself, has zero powers. Okay, so that's my update from today. Declaration of interest. Does anyone got anything they'd like to declare based on the agenda? Good evening, Simon.
Good evening, apologies for lateness.
No problem.
Parents' evening.
No declaration of interest? Okay. So, nice to see lots of members of the public. Anyone who would like to speak? Sarah.
Thank you. Two things very briefly. The first is HS2, and I know it's not on the agenda, but I had a meeting earlier this week with Andrew Cooper MP, and I just think it needs to be on your radar in case there's an announcement about HS2 Light on the 30th of October. One of the real concerns is that the safeguarding, which we promised would be lifted by the summer, is still in place. And that is a concern. And Andy Burnham's stated plan is to build a slower train, but still a new train line, utilising the existing safeguarding. So my recommendation is that you just very on that, maybe consider reinstating the working group just in advance of an announcement in case there's a need to move quickly on that one. The other one very briefly refers to a matter that was raised at the meeting of the 6th of June. There had been a data breach, and on the 6th of June it was agenda item 9.2, which simply said to note the investigation into the data breach, and the clerk at the time informed everyone that the breach has been reported to the ICO and the matter is now closed. Well, I knew it hadn't been because I had also made a complaint to the ICO, and I just want to make sure that the ICO tells me that they have made recommendations to the council on how to improve your data protection practices, and I just wanted to make sure that that had been noted by everybody, just to prevent a similar incident. Thank you.
Okay, just 2 points. The first point relates to the mud on the roads, which have been sort of dragged out of the fields. There was already some conversations on a local Facebook platform last week about the mud that was came onto Pickmere Lane. Well, today we've had obviously a lot of activity in the field on Park Lane, but I just wonder if there is any is this the same sort of situation as the hedges, that, you know, is it parish council can obviously appeal to the farming community to clear up the roads as per the law after they've deposited all the mud onto the roads, but or is it something that you know, do you have the powers or
No, it's the same as the hedge. We can go and have an informal chat with the farmers, but the enforcing authority for highways is Cheshire East Highways.
Yeah, okay.
And the action.
Right, well, let's hope they do actually clear it up, but it is quite thick and goes on for quite some you know, kind of a chunk of park playing. The second item, it relates to the letter which of the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group. As a resident, I just feel quite concerned that a subcommittee feels the need to complain that they don't have the support of the rest of the council, especially since two of the councillors are actually on this subcommittee. And reading the report, I just feel that the emphasis or the focus seems to be on protocol, which is the right way of handling it, when in fact the main thing is why is there a feeling of no support, and what support are they looking for, which they haven't had. So it concerns me that two councillors amongst all of you can't actually agree on how the neighbourhood plan needs to be supported. What's missing?
But I mean, that is an agenda item tonight.
Okay,
So.
but I just wanted to voice my concern because I think the neighbourhood plan is important.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I note with interest that for a number of meetings now you've had as in this Part B, the private part, assets and whatever thing. Can I encourage you to, how can I put it, regularise the registration of land down by the lake? I'll leave it at that, Chairman, but I just feel even if it costs a few £100 to do it, it would be precept well spent for the village in the longer term. So I just want to support you in hopefully that will happen.
Christmas market. It's the first I've heard that we're going to have one this year. I just wondered who's organising it, because it didn't come up at the last meeting and it now looks like it's going ahead. Discussed. Sorry? We're discussing it today. Right, okay, well that was, yeah.
Okay. So it's agenda item.
Right. Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you for your input as always. Did we get a report from KT? Okay, so no report from K Hague, so we can move on to note the current financial position. Again, this is my amateurish attempt at reporting, as we haven't had a clerk for this month. So, overall financial position is currently in the current account we have 25,349.09, and the deposit account is the same as last month, 40,552.51, so giving us a total position of 65,901.60. And as you'll see from the right hand side, I put on last month's to show you that the numbers that were in the minutes are incorrect. So if below that we've got the income and the expenditure. One thing I've noticed is there was a payment set up on standing order to the outgoing clerk, which was paid because it was a standing order.
Paid back.
Was immediately paid back. Unfortunately, because the way the bank is set up, the clerk sets up the payments and the councillors authorise them. councillors can't set up payments and clerks can't authorise them. So until we get the new clerk onto the bank, it's going to be a recurring issue. As predicted, we got our latest tranche of payment from Cheshire East for the precept, and something else which is on the agenda item, but we were successful in one of our grant applications, which we'll be discussing later in the meeting. So that's pretty much the variance. Obviously, not being able to pay people is a problem, so we're asking people for their forbearance as we sort out getting the clerk onto the bank account.
It's just sent his apologies.
Okay.
The HMRC, was that for both payments, or can we expect half of that back now?
Which payment was that?
One to standing order, HMRC.
We're not paying out
13th of September.
So I assume that 13th of September. The
In
HMRC.
expenditure. 99.40.
Okay. That's pulled, I think, but I'll have to check. I'm not sure what that is for. And it seems to do with VAT or tax for the salaries.
I thought that was tax for the clerk, actually.
Yes, it is.
But if you paid it twice,
Okay, but that will be resolved by the
HMRC.
salary payment people.
right.
So it will come back if we've overpaid, if that's the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's just to be aware of it, if it's, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Incoming and outgoing? So I'm sure next month we'll have a much more competent approach. Okay, and then moving on.
On finance, can I just bring something up that was brought to me? Apparently, I can't remember the actual date of the meeting now, we agreed that we would pay Pickmere Press £250. I don't believe that has happened, but also we haven't issued any pages that were going to be included in Pickmere Press on the council.
Yeah. So because we haven't had a clerk, and I haven't got infinite time, that wasn't able to be done this month.
Okay, but we will be putting the page in future, right?
That's what you want.
Just
Yes.
one other question. Did we ever receive any, I don't know whether we were receiving payment for the old tiles that came off the roof?
No, I've actually wrote to, at the moment I've actually got 3 different haulage yards, and I would say that probably within the next couple of weeks they'll be sold. But I will come back to everybody.
No, I was just wondering. I know that.
No, they are.
Yeah.
They're there, Simon, ready to.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
My point of actually getting them was that they didn't go too cheap.
No, I think you're right. I
didn't want to just let them just go for
just
£100.
we haven't seen anything in it, that's all.
Then item 6.3, so we've renewed the insurance policy. Again, that was done through a broker, so they go out and they get the best price we possibly can. So we use Gallagher's. So because of the changeover of Clerk again, unfortunately we weren't able to bring that to council before we renewed it, but we couldn't operate without insurance.
So it was a 3-year deal. When we originally started.
Because it was Hiscox, wasn't it? You changed it.
I thought it was a multi-year deal.
Okay. We want to take that back now. Gallagher's and just maybe inquire.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I've seen, I thought it was 1 year, but I'll definitely go through it.
I'm sure it was multiple years. It was either 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
There's a 1 and a 3-year option.
Alright.
So I'm going to see what they say.
Okay. So renewal of the gas gas plan.
Yes. So I've had British Gas come and saying it's time to renew the plan. So we've got the 1 year offer, standing charge. I think this is for the village hall and for the pavilion. 2 different plans for 1 year offers. Do you want me to tell you the amounts? What we currently pay and what we generally. Yeah. So there's different plans to pay. There's option 1, option 2 and option 3. So the option 1 is a new kind of fixed term contract, which is a 1 year offer, and these are all prices valid until the 5th of October. So not much time. And this one, this standing charge would be £40 per day. Sorry, no, 40p
That's a bit pricey.
It is, isn't it? So the estimated annual cost would be £668.
What are we paying now? Sorry, to put you on the shot.
Is this
So it just says
British Gas Line?
Pavilion.
British Gas Light.
British Gas.
Yeah. That's what it was last year, British Gas Line.
It's the same. I'm not sure what we were on. It's the same. Doesn't say anything about it. Yes, British Gas Light. British Gas Light.
Just the same.
So that's got gas and electricity for the village hall.
Yeah, so there's the one for the village hall, and then there's the one for. So there's the.
Pavilion.
Or we can go on the variable rate if you wanted to do that, and that estimated annual cost is £1,225 and 10 pence. So that's for the village hall. For the pavilion, the fixed term contract estimated annual would be £607 and 47 pence, and the variable would be £1,061 and 23. There's the other option of going back and looking for other energy partners.
I think with the pavilion, personally, I think we need to find the one with the lowest standing charge, because it's not used very often. So I think.
So you the electric as well.
Yeah, that sounds a high charge to have, but I know that all the charges are high. It's a shame that we've not got a bit more time really on it. You know, if they're.
They were actually the cheapest last year.
Oh, were they?
Yes, you did research.
It doesn't mean to say they are this year, though, does it? We've not.
No.
Maybe worth looking to others.
The only thing is, if you've only got the 5th of October.
I know.
What day is it? What day is the 3rd?
Third, in case you
Means
go
you'd
with
be
it.
having to do a bit of research tomorrow, and
No.
I don't think we've got the time.
No, we haven't gone. Should have gone up about 20%, I think, on the average.
So the lowest standing charge per day on the pavilion is 25 pence per day. It is a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
So
I think the cheapest one on the personally, I think the cheapest one on the pavilion.
It just isn't.
I mean, I think because we're in extraordinary circumstances, can I just propose that we accept these?
Yeah.
And
I think it's the standing charge that we pay most, because electricity is quite negligible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's the standing charges.
So I'm the cheapest
So I think
charge there.
We have to go with it, and then maybe next year
yeah,
give ourselves a bit
We will
of time,
be more
obviously, because we've only just started.
okay. So that's the proposal that we accept and go with British Gas.
Yeah.
So, okay, agreed. Moving on. And then 6.5, because it takes so long to get the clerk onto the bank account, I've taken the liberty of filling in the forms, getting Lorraine to sign and sending that off. Mainly because we can't operate without the clerk being on the bank account. So it's just to inform you that's what's been done. And hopefully that will speed up the process by 2 weeks.
Does it take a long time?
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, practical.
The previous clerk isn't on the bank account yet.
What?
Yes, that's what we'll take. And then, just to remind people that anyone who was ever a signatory on any of the bank accounts or
Just might get a letter.
will get a letter informing them of the change, probably. There you go. That's the way it works. Okay. Planning matters. Because as far as I was aware, there were no planning matters on the portal. People in the view saw anything.
There's just a few that have been approved, or one that's been withdrawn. The farm fields in Hall Lane was actually withdrawn. Because when you look on the website, because we spoke about it, because it was just another garage being built, garage store, in line with the others. But apparently there's a lot going on with Cheshire East that they haven't been built as the planning permission, so there's, that's why they've withdrawn it, I think, that one. So.
And which ones were approved? Do you that one?
The one across the road, the Goldstone, that's been approved, the new house.
In principle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the barn that they wish to convert in Spink Lane, that's been approved as well. The only other thing was the dubbed out licence for Cheshire Showground.
Yeah.
So this is just, Cheshire Showground have a licence, but it's for one half of the show field, and where the dubbed out is in the other half, so that's why they've been applying for a licence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're not allowed to comment on that officially. So if residents want to comment, I mean, it's on the website.
That's why they're applying.
I do feel sorry for the people that live around the social ground, because every day there's a new event.
Yes. What is a premises licence?
It's like a desired hall.
And
have dancing and music.
It covers
music,
dancing,
So it's the same as a pub would apply for.
Yeah.
We have one here for the village hall, Friday nights.
I think it's in the notes, isn't it? No? The premises licence. Isn't there a note on it?
Yes, there is.
Yeah. It's in the notes, so if you want to read it.
No, I'll pass, but I wondered. Thank you.
Or you can have a look on the Telegraph poll outside.
Yes.
It's on the Telegraph poll outside.
Okay, so that's planning. All right, so moving on to reports. So item number one is that, as we heard, we had a letter from the neighbourhood plan working group stating they were calling a halt to all activities until they could be assured of proper engagement and support of the parish council. I did suggest that we had an informal meeting and perhaps discuss what the issues were and come up with a plan, but the neighbourhood plan working committee didn't want to withdraw their letter, even though they could have reinstated it afterwards. So I think everyone's had a copy of the letter.
Can I, for me, respond?
Sure.
Not on behalf of the council. This is because it went to us all, and I can, I don't want you to think that I don't support you. I'm a bit offended that once again you brought up about you couldn't have the hall when you want, because you can have the hall, it's just not the nights you want. And that really offended me, because I'm working hard to fill this hall and get some money. But I even offered to go posting the letters for you when you were wanting the postage. So I personally felt a little bit offended, because I felt that I hadn't given you a reason to think that I didn't support it.
Sorry, I think as we stated though, we don't think as a working group that this is the correct forum to discuss our letter.
But you wrote the letter to the council.
We wrote the letter to the council.
As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, no member of this council has any powers to respond to a letter to the council. So I did give you a solution to that, but you chose not to take it, leaving us with the only opportunity. I'm talking. We didn't give you an ultimatum. We suggested that we got together and had an informal meeting, which you declined, leaving the only option to discuss it in council.
Still maintain that this is not the correct forum to discuss it.
Then don't write to the council.
And it is in the incorrect forum, because how fair is it then that the rest of the group can't speak, even if they were here? They can't speak and can't say anything about it. What we would have expected would have been for council to have got together and said, right, well, yes, we will have a meeting and we will discuss it. It doesn't have to be discussed in council at all. It could have been discussed outside council, and if there were any decisions to be made, it could then be brought back to council.
I agree, that was one of the solutions that I gave.
And we were given the ultimatum of withdraw your letter and we'll have a meeting.
It wasn't an ultimatum.
But don't withdraw your letter and we can't have a meeting.
Okay, so we need to discuss it in council.
I'm sorry, I'm quite adamant on that, but we're not prepared to.
But 25% of this council is on the working group, so why can't you represent the working group?
Because there are 3 other people who also have input to this.
I've got to say
Alison, no, I mean, I'm not being funny, but I thought you were the lead councillor on this group.
I'm the lead councillor, but I do not dictate to them what we do.
But surely you can fetch something to council on their behalf if you are the lead councillor.
These were a lot of thoughts from different members of the group.
But then they've got to give it to you.
I would like to propose, actually, that the working group and the council meet separately to go through this and find a way forward.
But we can only make a decision on your letter in a council meeting.
you weren't asked to make. You weren't asked to make a decision about anything. What the letter said was it brought up a few worries that the people had. Now, when you said that, it was given as it either goes to council if you withdraw it. If you don't, if you withdraw the letter, we can have a talk. If you don't withdraw the letter, it goes to council. We then proceeded to send you a note saying we would like to discuss it. We were available to discuss it. The whole group were, prior to it going to council, where it could have been withdrawn after we'd discussed it. We didn't need to make a decision. So you're saying that we need to make a decision. We could have had an informal meeting, gone through it, discussed it, and then the letter could have been withdrawn if the other members of the working party had agreed that was the case. There was no need for it to get to this point if you'd agreed to the emails that followed up, where we asked for a meeting with you prior to the council, and then we could have, if we felt that there was some form of discussion going on which was positive and gave us the idea that this was actually being supported, then the letter could have been withdrawn. We gave you that option.
There was
an option because there was no need to do that. We asked you if you'd like to come and talk to us and discuss it with the group, and you point blank refused.
I didn't point blank refuse. I pointed out that you were going to council. And
you said you weren't going to. You said you were not going to. That's refusal.
Please don't talk then.
No, well, I'm making a point. You said you've made a point. I've replied to you.
I was mid-sentence when you were fine.
Pedantics.
No, it's not.
Let's get on with this then.
Okay. So the letter said that you were going to stop all activities unless the council could demonstrate their support. Does that sound like an ultimatum?
Yeah, it does. But we ask you to come and talk to us. Following that, we ask you to come and talk to us and meet with us.
But not in the letter. Okay, so let's go through the items then.
Why don't we
I don't
What
think
have we
Put the
done wrong?
proposal on the table.
But why, can I just ask, why do you think you haven't got the support? I mean, I feel bad if you think I have not, you know. No, but if the letter comes to me and it did, and I actually responded to you. I sent you a letter back, an email back.
I personally
I spoke
think
to you about it.
there is a way forward here. And the way forward is to say, right, okay, we can have an informal meeting where we discuss the parts of the letter. Then that can be brought back to the council for a decision, which happens a lot with a lot of different things. We don't need to spend the evening having a discussion over this letter. We need to have an informal meeting where we discuss the situation and then bring it back to the council to make a decision next month. Because at the moment, all we're going to do is we're going to go through and look at all the different points of view. We're going to spend a lot of time, which doesn't need to be spent in a public meeting. It needs to for people to sit down and have a chat.
I mean, we did agree the postage though, didn't we? You know, we offered the postage for the letters to go out.
Yeah, but
that's one of the first things we asked for,
I mean,
and we agreed that.
But there are other things, and I think that the way forward at the moment, without, because all that's going to happen is we're going to be firing off points against each other. I think the way to do it is an informal meeting where we discuss what's in the letter, where we discuss our concerns, because they are concerns and they're genuine concerns. Otherwise, it wouldn't have done it. And there are other people who also have those concerns. And I think the way forward is to say, right, let's choose a date. Let's have an informal meeting. If the clerk's available, that would be useful to have you along as well. But I obviously realise that your time is limited. But if we can have this informal meeting where any member of the council can come along, discuss the letter, discuss your reply, discuss everything about it, and then we bring back to council next month to make a decision as to what needs to be done to drive this forward. Because I think the thing that is driving this from all the five of us involved is that we feel it's an incredibly important document that needs to be recognised as such and needs to be done properly. And I think perhaps everybody's lost their way on this, and we need to bring it together.
Do you think that people, the fact that you can't get any more people, working members to the group, do you think that it is what everybody wants?
It's not necessarily what everybody wants to be involved in, because it is a hefty piece of work. That's the difference. It's not what everybody wants. I'm sure if you ask people, do you want to put a document together that is going to form some way of protecting our village and our village's character, I don't think there's anybody who said, no, we don't need it. But if you turn around and say to people, have you got the time to spend to help develop this document, then I think you'll find that a lot of people say, I'm sorry, no, I've got that. That's why we don't always have people standing up and filling in the spaces on the parish council every election. We're lucky we have at the moment. And I think the thing is, we've got to recognise that this is an important piece of work, and it is going to be something that is going to go forward and support our village. But at the same time, there's a feeling in the group that maybe the support isn't there, maybe there's not a realisation of what support we expect, and maybe we've over-expected what support we should be getting. But I think to discuss it in this situation, it will go round and round in circles. It will take a lot of time. I think to give it the real importance and the real time that's needed, we should arrange for a date where we all meet together and go through everything. We don't then I'm sorry, we're not airing our personal grievances if we have any overlaps. We can discuss it in an environment where we're not taking up time where there's other important things on here, and we can come back to council with a proper discussion which will be limited, and we'll be able to make a decision as to the results of that informal meeting, which is really what this was all about. It was about having an informal meeting
Thank
so
you,
that
sir.
we could
But
take it
can I-
forward.
We just come back on that. In this letter, there's nothing about the informal meeting.
No,
Can
you're
I-
right.
can I
you're
just
right.
finish?
I'm
So-
agreeing with you.
What I would ask you is, what request that came to council from the neighbourhood plan did we not agree to?
Right.
Well,
Whether or not there was going to be any money put aside in the budget. I'm sorry, but we're going down this route and
no, but
we're not, I'm not
Well,
prepared
you said
to.
you're not going to
I did
support right
say,
council.
Ewan, that I am not prepared to, and I think we do, as Simon said, because I put the proposal forward right at the very beginning, that we discuss this in a separate
You
meeting.
did not put that in the letter.
Right, Ewan, we agree, we didn't put it in the letter. But maybe that was our mistake and we can own up to that. But your mistake is the fact that we did follow it up with emails asking for a meeting and you didn't allow, because perhaps we wouldn't be in this situation if we hadn't. No, perhaps we didn't have the opportunity. So what I'm saying now is why don't we agree in council to have an informal meeting where all the councillors can meet, discuss it, and then take it forward to the next meeting. And that will get rid of a lot of going through everything that we've read. And it'll bring it together. And I think that's a reasonable way forward.
Right. So I would say that we paid for a website for the neighbourhood plan, which we probably didn't need to pay for. We paid for postage for letters. We give our buildings free of charge. And I do not know of any request that we haven't given you. So I think it's really unfair that we receive a letter like this, especially when there are two councillors. 25% of our parish council are actually on the working group. So the proposal is that we have an informal meeting where we discuss these issues.
Yeah,
Proposed by Simon. Seconded by Alice.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So those four.
Get it sorted.
Might as well.
It's been a festival otherwise.
Okay. Good to call, please. Okay, moving on. Update for the Police and Crime Commissioners meeting.
Can I just say before we do this, can we, are we going to do it through emails, proposing a date?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but if we should propose a series of dates.
Can I also just ask about the meeting? Is it only going to be parish councillors at the meeting?
No, it will be members of the working group. They are entitled to have their say.
What about members of the village?
Well, I think it should be just the neighbourhood plan and us, because otherwise we may as well just discuss it here, haven't we?
I agree. I think it has to be the people
Yeah.
involved. And I think we have a working group that is, I mean, this is the way forward. We have a public forum here for bringing it back and making the decision. For the meeting, it should be the councillors plus members of the working group. So that, because obviously they're the one, some of those put their grievances forward. And I think that's the way forward.
Okay, well, we made that decision, so we'll come up with a date. Okay, feedback from the Police and Crime Commissioners meeting that took place here a couple of weeks ago. Still have lots of engagement from the Police and Crime Commissioner, Cheshire Police, the Fire Service, Board Councillors from Cheshire West, the three parishes. So interesting, the new Police and Crime Commissioner had done his homework. I have to give him credit for that, and is very much of the opinion that the wishes of the residents are paramount in any solution. So we went through the normal updates. So we went through, one of the issues that we've had is we're trying to get a public space protection order, as everyone should be aware. And we've been asking residents to report events. I was made aware that at least one resident had attempted to report an event and got into a circular argument with the police, who said it was Cheshire East's responsibility. So I have raised that with the police, and they were going to go back to their control room and try and understand what went wrong. But the event that the person was trying to bring to the police's attention is actually in line with their Park Safe website. And even though she mentioned that that was the situation, they still told us to go and talk to Cheshire East.
And what was it?
It was to do with parking, I believe. So Cheshire East are putting together their multi-agency meeting to look at the public space protection order. So we need to keep generating our data. I'm trying to go back through Facebook pages and put retrospective information in as well, just to show it's a long-term event. Wincham are also doing the same. They've made some progress on their big list. The Cheshire East Highways said that they were going to get out to consultation for the yellow lines in October. I have to say, based on my email today, I don't think it will be October, it'll probably be November. But we still are funded, and we are the only one of two.
Will they come to what? I mean, will it be for the village, or will it be a talk in the village hall or something? Or are they just going to come out and check where they want to be?
No, so when we have the final plan, then we'll have our little focus groups in the pavilion again. And then it goes out to public consultation, so it goes out to everybody. So, for example, Wincham could object on the grounds that they think they're going to get more cars because we've got more yellow lines. So everyone gets to have their 10 penny worth. But just because they say it doesn't mean that they have to action it. We discussed the possibility of looking at parking charges for down at the lake, because when we get our public space protection order, someone has to enforce it. So we're going to need wardens and rangers to do that. I pointed out that as a parish council, our number one objective is to make sure that emergency access is maintained for our residents. Other things are inconvenient, but that is our unacceptable red line. The Cheshire West have been looking at health and safety issues to do with mainly on the Wincham side, obviously. One of the problems is that unfortunately the landowner died, so the land is now in probate, and so nothing will happen until that's resolved. Updated on our open water situation. Obviously, as a council, we're aware of the complexity there, but we are moving that forward and just confirm to the Police and Crime Commissioner and the councils that the rights in common are to do with power boats and nothing else. Interesting, Cheshire East did raise the issue of the public path being closed because of the fallen tree, and pointed out to the police that their signs had been vandalised within 30 minutes, and within an hour somebody kicked down our fence. So
Within 10 minutes.
Yeah, me too.
they described it as a high level of illegal activism around the lake. So, and then the other thing that we raised with the police was it's just so difficult to get a dispersal order in place, even when we know it's going to be a sunny weekend. So they said they would take that on board, but obviously a dispersal order is not something that's long term. So public space protection order is the way forward. And we're having our next meeting in November to review the feedback for the public consultation. So I haven't got the official minutes yet, but that's my my notes from the meeting. Does anyone have any questions?
We're not going to do this survey until November.
Yeah. But it's only the consultation period is not long in memory.
I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. And someone has to bring up a legal reason why they can't paint their lines where they want to paint them on their roads. And that's just saying I don't want something outside my house or outside my lake. isn't going to do it. But, you know, someone might bring up a legal reason.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So there aren't any other questions? That's just the update. Thank you. Moving on. So some good news. I don't know who to, well, I'll just go through this one. So I think originally Jane had an idea of applying for funding for a monkey wall for the Clover Drive playground. She managed to identify a company that could help with the application. So we did put in the application to the community fund of the National Lottery, and the project is funded. So we will get a monkey wall in the playground. We need to work out where we want it. So I've got the measurements and I've got the area that we have to have either side of the monkey wall for safety. So at some point we need to go down and measure up and decide exactly where it's going to go. Obviously we need to, as with the village hall, we need to put a sign up saying this monkey wall was funded by the National Lottery.
Can I just ask, is this in addition to what's there now, or in a replacement of the tower?
No, this is a monkey wall. So I've got a picture of a monkey wall, but basically it'll be additional bit of.
Do we have a plan of what the playground is going to look like and what other items are going to be in there?
So we have the monkey wall to go with the touchy-feely boards.
Yeah.
And then we have to replace the tower. Since
We'll still be looking for a centre piece.
When did we actually agree to this?
it was a grant application was reading the council.
Well, I didn't think it was for a specific item. I thought it was for the playground.
No, it's for the.
It was for this particular.
Because I remember being asked to put a survey out on Facebook on the PRA.
On this, it was on the monkey wall.
Yeah, but I wasn't aware that we ever came back and said, right, well, I've had so many, and yeah, we'll go ahead with it.
Well, I think the feedback from both groups, from your group and my group, was put forward with an application, and they basically come back, but it's only for this particular piece of equipment.
And have we actually got room in the playground for it?
Yes.
Yes.
Without having to do all the resurfacing work?
Yes. It goes onto the grass.
So the multi-tower as well is going to be replaced?
Yes.
Hopefully.
That is
That goes on the grass?
the monkey
Did you
wall.
say? Yeah. Were children allowed to fall on grass?
Yes. But it's it has all its certification.
It doesn't do them any harm.
Oh, it didn't do me as a kid, God. Horrible grass.
So the installation is scheduled for the 15th of November.
What we're doing about postal installation inspection? That's the that.
Well, we haven't taken the view that a post installation inspection needs to be done. It's not a legal requirement. But, I think last meeting we decided that there were a lot of items that to be installed, that we take a decision after they were installed as to whether we need to have them inspected.
Okay. What about the cost of insurance?
In what way?
With putting, how much is it? £6,000 worth of equipment in there? Or whatever. So that's going to have an effect on the insurance, surely.
Well, as we discussed in the last meeting, any significant changes to our position relative to insurance will be informed to the insurance company. And I'm sure they'll look at the assets again when we come to renew. If they feel that we need to pay a bigger premium when we inform them, they'll let us know, I would imagine. That it tends to work with insurance. It's like my insurance.
So has somebody in the council actually done a risk assessment for this piece of equipment?
Not for this piece of equipment, but it will come with a risk assessment. And we'll look at that
So,
further.
have we done a risk assessment?
The company itself has done a risk assessment.
Have we seen that then?
I guess so, yeah.
Because otherwise are we putting high risk equipment in?
It's certified.
Yeah. It's certified, but obviously each piece of equipment comes with risk factor. is this a high risk factor piece of equipment? If it's a wall 2 metres high,
It's not that heavy, Pete.
it says 2 metres.
Yeah, that's not that heavy.
I'm assuming a children's playground.
I'm sure if a little child manages to climb on top of a wall and then falls off it,
Yes, but the fact,
2 metres is quite high.
but the fact is it's actually a children's piece of equipment per se. We can rest assured on most of the dangers, I would have thought. Although obviously we need to be overseeing them.
Well, that the notice there says children must be supervised at all times.
I'll add that to the asset register.
Oh, we have to wait till we've got it.
Yeah.
It's not ahead of us now.
Anyways, I think it's good news. We've got it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. But we will ask for the risk assessment, Peter, and if you would like to do an additional risk assessment, then
You're not doing it.
I'm planning it. Right. I think there was another question you asked about whether it was part funded, it's full funded.
I did indeed, yes.
Full.
Because it wasn't clear that whether it was to replace the multi-play tower or it was an additional piece of equipment. And the other part was it a match funded piece of equipment?
No, it's fully funded. It's fully funded. It's not replacing the tower. The tower still has to be replaced. But that's the big money to get.
Yeah. So we're not going to get this playground finished this year.
Oh,
Not this year.
never say.
Maybe
Never.
at the end of the financial year, I don't know. We can try.
£20,000 coming from.
Just have to try, don't we? We just have to work it.
We're going to have a rep events. There are companies that are prepared to donate, which is I know we have some self money we need to get rid of before a certain date. So there are plenty of areas.
And we can do some match funding.
That's
Without
without, yeah. That's why I've said
I've
this
got
one.
a couple of people at Barclays who, if we put an event on, we'll do match funding for us. They have to come to the event. But just say, for example, how much did we make at the Jumbo?
Oh, no, not more than that.
Yeah, sorry, but the actual Jumbo itself.
Okay, we're digressing now away from
Sorry.
the agenda item. Okay, so I guess we better have a vote on whether we accept the money and put up our monkey ball.
Yeah.
So we want to propose that we accept the money and put up the monkey ball. Second time. Okay. Anybody against? No, one against. So in terms of the 15th, we need somebody to agree to be present to let them in through the gate. I'm not quite sure who has. Does anyone know who has the key to the gate? Because they also need to get through the gate.
The key to the gate at the,
Playground.
I don't
Maybe
know.
to take a screw out. There's one screw hole with this foot.
But do we know?
I don't know.
Okay. Can we maybe find out? I presume has Amos got one? Does he cut who cuts the?
I don't even know. He won't have a key to it.
Because he can get through the single gate, can't
Yeah.
he? Sure, Clark would have had it.
Okay, we'll go through the key box. If not, we'll cut off the lock and we'll buy a new one. And then
I think you need to push it off. If it doesn't push the gate, you'll be in.
probably. And who wants to help with the mapping out?
I can do that.
Peter, would you like to be involved in the positioning and mapping out since you
have to vote against it, haven't I? So what do you think?
Simon?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if we can get a day that we can get together
Yeah.
and do that. I just want to make sure we know exactly where it's going on the day it turns up. Okay.
Can I just make sure that those children who actually want to play football on there will still have somewhere to play football?
Doesn't the sign say no ball games?
Yes.
And I think
It
that,
doesn't stop.
There's no swimming as I make as well, does it?
but also I think if you actually own the houses on either side, you might be relieved that there wouldn't be space for football. So the other day,
There's no dog spot in today.
there's a huge flat area at the Iris.
And what's the bin full of in the children's playground?
Okay, moving on.
There we go.
Okay, next agenda item. Another exciting one. Christmas is nearly here. Annual driveway market.
Right, well, I spoke to Naomi, who has run it in the past with Simon. She obviously has got bigger things this year because she's on the showground. I also wrote to Simon, email him, to see what you think. I mean, it's nice to do things for the village, particularly at Christmas. And it doesn't have to be huge, it doesn't have to bring in lots of people, but a friend of yours, I'm not mentioning any names, because I've asked lots of people what they thought of the last few weeks. Do you think there should be a market? Do you think, whatever? And I spoke to a couple the other day who actually came up with a good, what I thought might be a good idea. Now, I haven't shared it with anybody, so I'd bring it here first. What he suggested, and this is down to you, is to try and tie both in together. So your Santa and carols with the market. Now, I don't know how it would work, and it would need to be an afternoon market because your nighttime trip is usually in the...
It's on a Wednesday.
dark.
Yeah, so I think
Does it have to be a Wednesday?
traditionally, yeah, it's always been a Wednesday, and we've already started booking a few
Have you?
people. Yeah, so
That takes that out of the equation.
I think going forward that would be good potentially to tie them in, but we tend to try and do it during the weekday. And it's always been traditionally on that one.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
I know. I was thinking, well, if we did a market sort of afternoon, started at 1, had 3 hours, then it's coming dark, and Santa and his sleigh, and all that. But that wasn't my idea. It was actually Andy Hague.
No, I know.
I've spoken to him.
Yeah.
So, but I just think the village likes to do things, and we haven't got much time. And I just wondered what people thought.
Well, the original way it worked was
on the driveway.
Was the driveways, and the idea behind that was to get people wandering around the village.
And it was COVID, wasn't it?
And it was COVID, but after that, we opened it. It remained like that, and what we tried to do is bring the ones that it was particularly Clover Drive, because you had that sort of S shape of walking down the main road, and then, but Clover Drive seemed to get a little bit isolated, even though those are the Buttercup Way walk. So the idea was to bring the ones on Clover Drive to a more central position, which was the grass at the top of Clover Drive, where there are 3 or 4 and a couple of, to just leave it like that. So people were actually walking through the village. That was the idea. The other thing about the driveway marking is that it was on people's driveways. So they set up where they were, and it meant that there was a minimal amount of messing about and effort in trying to get things set up on that ground, and it worked quite nicely. I think the idea of bringing it together is again a good idea, but it's a huge amount of work for a small amount of people, whereas the other way around it doesn't. And I think the driveway market is a lovely event, and it has been in all its formats, and it's a nice thing to do because it is people from the village engaging in it and putting their own events. I mean, the Red Lion was great. It gave us a couple of spots there as well, which was good. Having the bands, and one year we had a choir as well who turned up. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's
but what about? Do you not think it's a good idea to go onto the green at the top where everybody's together?
I still think both formats worked. I think they both have their methods, and I think they both have their disadvantages. I think it's just a decision as to which one works the best with the knowing that there's going to be that big one up there.
Well, I know, I don't think that big one will sort of affect us because it's on for a few days, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go.
It's on for a month.
It's on.
I'm going to go to it. I don't think that's a completely different thing. And I like this is me personally, it's, you know, I'm not doing this to do it on my own, so seriously, it has to be people chatting about it and deciding, but I think if you have it at the top, you can have some food vans or whatever, so the pizza guys or some turkey sandwiches or that sort of thing. I'm sure that Ewan would have his band. I don't know. I mean, what do people think?
My only concern about having it at the top of Clover Drive again is we had so many complaints from residents saying that, oh, you know, all the parking business in the summer, and then now you go and do this and you've blocked it again. And
I only saw two.
there was quite a few people that were moaning about it and saying about it, and I must admit it was a bit hectic.
Well, I agree, it was hectic, but there was a lot of people coming from outside, and I'm not sort of thinking, I'm not thinking on a big scale, I'm thinking on a Pickmere scale.
The only thing that the only thing I think, Lorraine, is that in COVID, I stood the market myself twice. In COVID, we had a good year. Everybody who stood there took, you know, reasonably good money. The year after, I would say that it more than halved. This is just me. I think that, and I've said this to you, I don't think you get 5 people from the village now coming forward to actually do a stall. Well, that's just my personal opinion. I don't think that anybody last year took any money who actually came from outside. You'd always get traders coming from outside, but then who you put in the event on for the village.
For the village, to me, it's the village that.
Okay. I mean, I think we could sit here giving our opinions all night. I think the question here is: do we agree that if the event goes ahead, that top of Clover Drive can be used if that's what the organisers think is?
Can I just add to that? I think you're right. That's a decision. Do the council say yes, that is available? I think probably what we need to do is maybe just have a outside of this meeting, have a sit down and a chat and say, right, what do we think is practical? We've got this, we've got the council land agreed or not agreed, depending on what the decision is here. We've got these people who might be interested. And I think if we could agree or not agree, depending on, I'm not going to put words into people's, but as to whether or not the land is available for use if we decide to go ahead with it, that would be useful, and then we can meet and then decide how the format and what's going to happen.
That was what the proposal said.
Yeah, so I think
you
that's right.
Allow the use of Clover Drive.
Can we propose that we?
Allow the use of Clover Drive.
Yeah, I'll recommend.
Okay, so just so we're clear, the proposal is the council agrees that the land at top of Clover Drive is available for the Christmas market organisers, should they want it, subject to the normal stipulation of insurance, risk assessment, and the other.
Yeah.
And are we stipulating at this point where the money would be going if there was any made?
Well, that's a decision to be made with the.
It's just about the actual land and the use of the land. All my opinion.
I agree.
I had actually put on the letter I sent out, the email, that I'd like any funds to go to the playground.
Well, I don't. No, I think that's something. I think there is merit in that, but I think that's a decision that maybe we need to come back to the council with a full plan of what we want to do.
I just really want to get the playground.
But I think if we're using council assets, it should be for the benefit of the village. So
if we decide not to,
then it doesn't happen.
No, it does. It can happen. People's driveways don't. But this is what I mean. I think we need to discuss all of the options. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but I think we need to discuss it.
So proposal as is, with the proviso that the council benefit of the residents benefit from the money raised.
Yeah. Well.
So do you want to have a vote on the amendment, please?
Yeah.
Council land is.
I'd like to just say let's leave alone.
Okay, but we've got a proposal, we've got an amendment to the proposal. The amendment is that we stipulate that if council land is used, it should be for the benefit of the residents.
Yeah, without stipulating where, but for the benefit of the residents, rather than stipulating the village hall or the playground or anything else.
As Peter pointed out, we need to get that funding for playgrounds, so it's in.
Yeah, so, you know,
There's a bit of a proposal second for the amendment. Second it.
Second.
For the amendment that the money goes to residents. Okay, so you see hands for the amendment? For it,
But what?
Oh, yeah,
but the money goes to the residents.
to the residents.
Yeah.
Just to the residents.
Just put your hand up, is that, we've got against that. Just abstaining.
I'm going to say against because I'd like to discuss where the money goes rather
Okay.
than just saying it goes to the residents. I'd like that point made, please, against my name.
That's one abstained. Sorry, two abstained, one
If you mind
against.
making a point that it's
Awful. Okay, moving on. Asset maintenance log. Oh no, hang on.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, asset maintenance log. Elton.
Right, as I said,
at the end.
been away for a good few weeks. So I haven't done a great deal of work on redoing the spreadsheet of the assets maintenance log. But some of the items that were on there that had not been actioned, I have listed on the report to council. The smoke detector was one required in here in this room because we don't have one.
Is that a legal requirement?
Yeah.
The fire extinguishers are due for the service coming up in November again. The company there normally just contact us. I chased them last year because I started the assets maintenance log, could see that it was due in November, rang them, spoke to them, and he said, "Oh, it's okay, we have you on a call forward." So they came out and did them. I signed for them, and the note was put on the notice board in the entrance there, but the notice board was taken down and everything taken off it. So there is still the one in the pavilion. So that is still, but they are all right until November. And the next job that needed doing priority to me is the outside security lighting here. Now, the outside security lighting here has been brought up before.
It's never worked.
No, I know, and it has been brought up before. Peter got up and had a look and examined it and said, no, it really isn't working. The wiring's not.
You just needed
Right.
You just needed one that had the sense of it. when
And
you walked.
Amanda was going to go, hang on a minute, do you mind? We spoke to Amanda about it because the cost of it would probably be under the threshold that she was allowed to do, and we were expecting for it to be done. And I really think now that it's winter and dark nights, that should have high priority.
Well, when we come out from Zumba, it's
Why
quite dark, and you
high
can't even see where you're walking.
And
I've got to say,
that would be one proposal for me, that we do get somebody out to look at the security lighting.
Definitely a second.
But the clerk can do that. It's under the cost.
Yeah.
So they can
We don't know actually, got cost.
sorry,
It more than likely would be, because it could be either a repair or a replacement.
well, replacements are
Cheap.
chips.
Yeah, they are.
So, can we maybe broaden this a bit? Say that things become due, that the clerk's informed. And then the clerk goes on and finds out what these things cost. Because we can't really make a decision on any of these things, because we don't know how much they cost. Whereas if we have a standing system where assets coming up for renewal or things that need doing,
Yeah.
go straight to the clerk.
Well,
I see you might get some of those things, but you might not.
on the new asset spreadsheet, there will be the cost of what it was last time, i.e. the extinguisher service and things like that. Then moving on to the pavilion, again, it's another, when they come to do the fire extinguishers, they do both places. And the gent urinals that Steve brought up last time, that was brought up in 23. And also the hand wash heaters in the ladies' loo and the disabled. Now, what we did there was, it was likely to be a reasonable amount. I think that was when Amanda had first started, to be honest. And I contacted a company called Pineapple, who do quite a bit of work around Pickmere. And he's heating and plumbing fellow, and his company he runs with his sister. And yeah, they were quite prepared to come out. He said, well, I'm always in Pickmere, I do such a lot of work round there. If ever you need any plumbing or anything like that, contact me. He says, and I could come out, drop of a hat. So we were expecting them to be done previously. So I think those are the other things that do need to be done, especially what's wrong with them. Well, the hand wash heaters in the ladies, and both ladies don't work. One, the dial doesn't work, so it could just be a repair, but the other one definitely just doesn't.
I don't think we have to worry about they don't work, they just don't work. But have any of these things been agreed in council before?
Yes.
So which ones have been agreed?
The Rhinos was one, I'm sure, and the outside light.
I think, I do seem to remember us.
We discussed it. If it wasn't,
We've discussed it several times.
Yeah.
I'm sure we agreed it.
Agreed in principle.
Three votes, didn't we?
So for all these things, going forward, if you can let the clerk know, then clerk can try and get costings for the next meeting, and then we can make decisions.
as soon as I have updated the asset spreadsheet again, because obviously there's going to be more assets added to it, the spreadsheet and the maintenance, then I will forward a copy round to all of you like I used to do. All right, and then you can add to it. If anybody sees I would like jobs that do need doing, that they let me know and I can add them to the list. And then hopefully Lucy and I can discuss and take it forward. The other thing I would like to say on the maintenance is the ground maintenance team as well. We've got a couple of proposals going forward that we want to continue work on Buttercup Way. And there's some bulbs that we have got. When we did the wildflower at the top of Clover Drive, there was money left over, and I said there, I told everybody and put a note out that I would get some bulbs in the autumn and we could plant bulbs. We now, thanks to Mr. Jackson, have got some bulbs. And I'm hoping to get a team together of anybody who fancies planting bulbs this weekend to come and give us a shout and help put some at the top of Clover Drive and also here, because we're going to clear up the rest of the village hall car park. There's hedge trimming that's required, weeding that's required, and again plant bulbs, because when they did some work outside, all the bulbs that Peter had put in previously disappeared.
So on the maintenance group, we took a decision that anything that the maintenance group wanted to do, they need to contact the clerk and the chair. If the clerk and the chair agreed that it needed to be done, it was done. If they disagreed, it comes to council. So if you can inform the clerk and the chair what it is you need to do with the maintenance group, we can approve or not approve and let you know.
What, on the grounds maintenance?
Yeah, that was the thing we put in place. I mean,
Right.
us discuss ground maintenance.
Right, well,
So that we don't have to keep coming to council to discuss.
can we go ahead with that, what we planned?
Yeah, can you send us a list of, so we get it documented, so we sure we do the process, but if you send us a list. What happened with the wildflowers on top of Clover Drive?
Well, the ones that didn't get dug up, yeah, some removed within 2 days. Some were flattened and some were removed. So, and I spoke to the fellow that had been advising me on it, and he said, "Oh, leave them till next year. Keep watering them," because Peter and I laboriously went down for about 4 or 5 weeks.
Do you think animals had?
They could have done.
There is, we did lose a lot on, you know, the bits of Pat's land on going around the corner opposite Clover Drive. We put in a load of bulbs and daffodils and crocus bulbs in there, and they were dug up and eaten by the badgers. So a few years ago, so it could be animals, yeah. Okay.
It could be, but I'm hoping they did come through, and quite a few did come up because I kept going and looking and checking on them. And he assured me, he said, "Well, next year there should be some more coming up as well."
Okay.
I'm hoping. I should be watching.
Fingers crossed. I invested in those flowers.
I know.
Patches. Right. Item 8.6 we've already discussed is the around at the pavilion. The clerk is trying to get a quote for that because we were aware of that as an agenda item. Once we have a quote, we'll make a decision if it's under the limit or not under the limit.
So pineapples details. Yeah.
Okay. We don't have to discuss that any further. So next agenda item is so Clerk have an annual meeting, which is carrying on the 17th of October. We as a council are allowed to send 2 representatives. So the proposal would be that the clerk and the chair go to the meeting and see what it's all about.
I'd be interested in going.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd like to propose Simon actually in respect of the fellow who's doing the talk, because he is the biodiversity fellow, isn't he?
Yeah. So
I'd be interested in going in that in terms of through the network plan.
Yeah.
And also,
okay, but it's not a meeting for the neighbourhood plans, meeting for the parish
no, I
council.
know, but it's useful for that. So, and also, I do have a background with knowledge.
Okay. So whose place would you like to take, Simon?
I don't mind. Whoever doesn't want to go out to Newton.
Okay, so do you want, I don't know how to get around this. Do you want to take a vote on who the 2 representatives are?
Does it have to be 2 people? Can 3 go? Or is it?
We could ask if an extra person can go.
Because we're all members of CHARC, aren't we?
So,
No, the parish council's a member, aren't they?
yeah, so
Individual.
as such we are.
But
Yeah, we are.
each parish council.
Yeah, I know about such a.
Okay.
Do you need to go to anything, everything, or does Clark come? Because obviously,
Invite to the council.
notes and notes, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So I can ask for more places
Yeah.
to
That'd
go.
be good.
How many people would like to go?
Well, I'm actually going. Yeah.
So I can request another one,
Yeah, please.
and then we can always figure it out if there isn't another spot. But I'm sure there will.
We'll communicate something. We'll have something.
So you've got a private.
Thank you.
Sean.
It's just private membership. You just receive the newsletter each week. Each newsletter that comes out, you sign up for them, and you get all the updates that everything that comes through. And if you're interested, yeah.
Right. So we'll see if we can get some additional.
Maybe we'll go. Well, you can do.
Well, the invite that came to the parish council said quite clearly that there were 2 spaces. for each
Yeah,
parish
because
council.
they asked for numbers, because they're doing catering at the start. So they want numbers.
Okay. Right, moving on. Next on the list. So better repair at the village hall.
Yes.
No. Oh, sorry.
So keep.
So I did.
Or is that proposal?
This is the one out here.
The one at the back.
Yeah.
I was the one that-
And the one at the front. Yeah, it's both of them.
So we don't have a price for this. There's not much we can do other than say, ask the clerk to find someone to do it. I mean, I did seal the one at the front on the weekend. It does need some repair, so I'm going to try and repair it this weekend. I also cleared out the gutters here because it was full of items and concrete and an oak tree. So
Did we go back to the roofing people and say anything to them? Because I thought that was.
we haven't come down and have a look. But they haven't.
Because if you notice when there is heavy rain, the rain doesn't actually go into the gutter. It was just shoots over the end.
It was just pouring down on Monday night.
Because it needs actually the gutter coming further out to catch the rain coming down.
I did contact them. Well, I'm not using the first thing to contact Lucy.
All right, so the clerk will take that up and discuss them when they eventually come back.
Cheshire roofing, Jean.
Yeah. We were having a look at the whether they quoted for see what they were going to do. Okay, and then the inspection of the overhead cable.
Goes through the trees out there. So something needs to do about it, otherwise we'll lose the internet connection.
Okay.
What is that, Peter, please? I know
What's the whole of this building then?
it's inside the grounds, isn't it?
The tree
No, it's 3. It's
is
Have a picture.
It's in
field.
the field next door.
Oh, okay.
So when you go to look at the premises licence application on the telegraph pole,
You'll see where the tree
you'll see where it is.
Yes, I've seen it. And that's where the gate.
So do the other way round, you go to look where the line goes and you follow it back and find the dovetail thing.
I mean, the cable has been there a goodly while
Mm.
because it was first put up for Cheshire Showground.
I mean,
Residents have been advised by the person farming the land that the Crown Estates would be willing to come and look at the tree.
okay. I mean, well, I'm not 100% sure if it's the tree on Cheshire East land or is it on the farmer's land? Who the responsible person is. Now, I think it would be BT. I mean, it has been chopped before.
Well,
you can see it on the tree. It's hard to tell whether it needs chopping again. But my understanding is the responsibility of the British Telecom,
Didn't
not the landowner and the council.
I see them coming down and doing a load of these.
Yeah, they were here, so they would have looked at it.
Yeah, so they did a huge number, a lot along here. So
They did the one on Park Lane, didn't they?
yeah, so I suspect they've probably looked at it.
Was that?
I mean, if they've looked at it,
So my suggestion is that we ask the clerk to contact BT and ask them about
BT or Reach or
whoever's responsible. But they haven't
So it's
treated
definitely a BT.
Yes, our internet coming in. Because we've got cables on our land is the utility company that come and chop it every year. They just send us a note saying, can we come onto your land? And we say yes. It's cheaper that way. Okay, so we'll do that. I think probably when the leaves are gone, it'd be easy to see whether some action is done. Then we can contact the landowner. This was going to Buckingham Power Centre. Okay. All right.
And I'd just say as well, on the grounds maintenance that you want me to send an email for to you, would it be possible to have agreement or anything? Because we were planning to do it this weekend as we're in October. And people were available. We were planning to.
Yeah, I mean, did you send it tonight, send it tomorrow?
Okay.
Just need to go through the process, need to be a record that we followed the process agreed. And assuming if you're not going to build anything outrageous, then it should be a no-brainer. Okay, so to confirm the next meeting, which will be Thursday, the 7th of November, at 7:45 again, here in the village hall. Relative this time, I think that's down last time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's agreed. Okay, so resolution to exclude the public and press. Thank you very much, members of the public, for coming. Always nice to see you.